Hello everyone. For those that are wanting to learn how to use colored pencils, I am demonstrating a drawing in colored pencil, a male cardinal in the rain on pastel matte. I prefer pastel matte because you can blend your colored pencils more so than just as opposed to using hot pressed watercolor paper. That will work, but with pastel matte you can really layer your colors in a lot better. I pretty much buy all of my art supplies from Blick Art Company. They have high quality products that seem to work very well, and they're usually always in stock. So once I've transferred my pattern onto my pastel matte, I go ahead, I like to do the eyes first and any detailed parts of the animal just to get those set in there. The pencils I use are Polychromos, and they're very high quality. And when you're doing small areas, such as what I'm about to do with the eye and the black feathers around his beak, you have to have your pencils pretty sharp. They need to be sharp. Your pastel matte will, since it's toothy, it will eat away at the sharpness of it, so you do have to sharpen them pretty often. But anyway, I've got it started, and I'm just going to start laying in those small black feathers around. Whenever you have an area such as this of feathers, you always want to make pencil marks go in the direction of the feathers. Sometimes with a small area like this, when you really can't see the individual feathers, it's just kind of almost more of a scribbling effect, really. Just fill in. And I want to show you a video on how to do this because you can do this. If you've never done this before, if you have the right tools, the equipment, materials, supplies, you can do this. So basically, as I'm using my colored pencils, I look at parts of the animal that I'm doing and I decide what color I want to achieve in this. This black feathers is just pretty much straight on black. So I'm going to go ahead and start out with black. To give it a little bit more vibrant color though, I'm going to take my dark indigo blue and I'm going to go over this. What that does is it presses the first layer of color down into the paper. And a lot of times in the art world, it's really not a good idea just to use plain black on anything. It doesn't really have the vibrancy that it would if you used other colors with it. So I'm going to use a little bit of indigo blue here on top. I'm going to be careful around this eye part because that's really detailed. And I'm going to really super take my time with that. This goes down past the beak a little bit. And jump back over to my black again. Come in underneath the beak. It's going to have some feathers protruding, so we'll make some fine lines later to extend those little feathers. But for right now, I just really want to get the majority of it in. I don't do details all at once on some of it. I will come back, figure out where I want certain things to be added onto it. Okay, next, the cardinal's eye is very, very dark, but I can see that there really is kind of a dark brown color to it. So I'm going to lay in some Caput Mortem Violet in there first. I'm not going to worry about the light shining on the eye right now. I can come back in and put that in. I'm going to leave this a little bit lighter there because that's where it's going to go, so I don't want to have to work real hard at getting that light spot on there. Okay, so that's already, you can already see it's looking like an eyeball. And I'm going to take my dark blue around the very corner of this. There again, that will give it the depth that it needs. For the light shining on the eye, I'm going to use a cold gray 1. Kind of go across the top of the eye there. Underneath that, there's just a tiny bit of a light spot, light line, which I may have to come back in with some actual white and put that in. Come in just so there's a little bit of a layer of black in there. A lot of birds have eye rings, which they can be different colors. A lot of them are white. There's just a little bit of a lighter area there, and sometimes it's nothing more than just the light reflecting on it, but usually there's a little bit of a white line there. My white needs to be a little bit of a sharper point here, so I'm going to kind of sharpen that briefly. Kind of bring that in a little bit. Okay. Next, I am will be drawing in the beak, and I've got couple different oranges here and one red, because you can see in the picture it's pretty much orange, with also two in the very corner of this beak. I may end up using a little bit of blue and on top of that to show that darker area. I'm going to start out with the lighter orange. I don't want to get it, I'd rather go from light to dark. I don't want to have to lighten up something that I've made too dark. So go ahead, I'm using dark cadmium orange. I'm going to go ahead and fill that in just very lightly. I'm not pushing it into the paper at all. Where the beak comes together there, the moving parts there, I do want to use a darker pencil and make a very fine line right there to distinguish that. You can't just color it all in because it will just look like one big non-moving part, which we all know that it's not. So the top of the bill just very gently bends down over the bottom bill. So we want to make sure we leave that. When you're drawing animals, you want to get the details of their anatomy as close on as you can, because that's what makes it look realistic. Okay, I'm going to stop at this point. I'm going to finish the beak with the orange, and then I'll come back in with the colors that I have chosen for the body of the bird, and we'll get started on that.